Hi, I'm Maren and welcome back to my channel, Maren Makes It. Today I'm here to talk about everybody's favorite food, pizza. Okay, maybe it's not everybody's favorite food, but it is a lot of people's. For my job, I work as a health coach, and most of the people that come to us are looking for weight loss, at least as part of their goal. One of the first questions I always ask people when they first join is, what are some foods that you really like that you wouldn't want to give up? These could be things that are healthy or things that are unhealthy. Those are things that are not going to be sustainable for them to give up. Instead, we need to find a way to fit them into the plan so that this is sustainable for the long term. Basically, my goal is to create a plan that allows people to lose weight in the same way they maintain that weight loss later on. Like, sure, you can cut out categories of food or cut out some of these favorite foods for the short term, see some weight loss, but what's the long-term outlook on this? What happens when you inevitably start to eat those foods again that you really miss or that just are really unrealistic to always be able to avoid? I can tell you from having this conversation a lot over the last few years that pizza is pretty high up on that list for foods people don't want to give up. And that's understandable because it would be on my list too. Not only does pizza taste good, but it's also widespread. I mean, how many menus have a section of pizza on them, whether or not they're actually Italian? Plus, there's also tons of takeout and delivery options for pizza. All this, plus my own personal love of pizza, has given me a lot of experience with how to fit pizza into your diet in a way that's healthy, balanced, and convenient. So today I'm going to show you a recipe with just 5 ingredients that takes 5 minutes to prep for pizza that's under 500 calories with 25 grams of protein. Why that protein is important is that protein combined with carbs and fat is going to be more filling than fat and carbs on their own. Normally pizza is pretty high in both fat and carbs because you have the doughy crust and then you have a lot of fat coming from the cheese, plus any toppings you might add like pepperoni or bacon. A way to make that pizza a little bit more balanced is to add vegetables for extra fiber and vitamins and minerals, and then also to add a lean protein for a boost in protein. This combination is going to make that pizza a lot more satisfying and keep you full a lot longer after eating it than maybe the pizza that you order or buy at the store. You'll want to preheat your toaster oven or oven that you'll be baking this in to 400 degrees. So our main protein source is going to be tofu. You want to get something that's at least extra firm or firmer. Tofu is kind of weird because it's actually already cooked the way that it comes. You don't actually have to do as much prepping as you do with meat or other sources of protein, which in my opinion is an advantage of tofu. Tofu is also very cheap. This whole box was $1.79. So in order to be able to use the tofu, you have to drain off all the excess liquid that's in there. You'll want to do that first, then you can pop it out of its container and you'll want to press it a little bit. Because this is already extra firm, you don't have to do very much of this, but you just want to get some of that extra water off. So I'm going to put it between paper towels and just push down on it. As a kid, I always thought tofu looked like a giant eraser because it kind of looks like those really good white erasers that you'd sometimes use in school. Now that I've pressed the tofu a little bit, I'm going to be splitting this into portion sizes that I want. So it says on the box that there's about 4 portions in a box. So I'm going to be splitting this into 4 pieces as we're only going to be using 1 today for our pizza. This will give us about 100 calories of tofu in each of these pieces. I'll take the 1 piece that I am saving here and I'm going to cut it into smaller slices. The great thing about tofu is that it's made out of soy, and so it's already been basically cooked in the processing of soy, so you don't have the concerns that you do with meat, where like with raw meat you have to be very worried about whether or not it's going to be fully cooked when you're doing something like this. So you can see I just cut it into small cubes. I'm going to set aside our soy crumbles here in order to show you the other ingredients. There's lots of different veggies that go great on pizza, but today I'm going to be using zucchini. Some other great veggie ideas to use here are broccoli and cauliflower, which you can already get pre-chopped from frozen to make this even quicker. Bell pepper works great too, and so does onion. Both of these can also be found pre-chopped, usually in the refrigerated and also in the freezer section. All right, now it's time to assemble your pizza. So I'm going to be using these large home-style tortillas. If you can find whole grain ones, that's even better, but they were out at my store when I was shopping to make this video. So you're going to be using the tortilla as a crust to give you a really thin crust, since that's where a lot of the calories can really add up in pizza, when you have that really thick doughy crust. Then I'm going to be using this sauce from Sprouts. You can really use any tomato marinara sauce here that you like. The serving size is pretty much always a half cup, which I've already pre-measured out here. So I'm going to be spreading that across my pizza crust. Then I would recommend putting on the tofu as your next step, because this way the tofu can kind of get into the sauce and really soak up some of the flavors of the sauce. Because tofu has a pretty plain flavor on its own, it does tend to do this where it kind of soaks up the flavors of other things in your dish, but this way it's in direct contact with the sauce before we put on any of the other ingredients. You could even go as far as tossing the tofu in the tomato sauce ahead of time and then spreading on the pizza. I basically just did that same thing, just with the tofu already on the pizza. Now I'll be adding in the zucchini that I cut up before. I ended up cutting it into quarters in order to be able to get more of it to fit on the pizza. And then last, I'll be adding a 1/4 cup of shredded cheese. You can pretty much use any cheese that you really like. This one is a blend of Monterey and cheddar jack. Cheese is definitely another one of those areas where the calories can really add up on pizza. By being in control of how much you use here, that can make a big difference in the total calories overall. I'm gonna add a little bit of black pepper just to top things off. You could also add oregano or basil here if you like. Then we're gonna take this guy into the toaster oven that I already preheated for 400 degrees. It will take about 15 to 20 minutes to cook, depending on the type of oven that you're using. I would just recommend checking in on it because you don't want this to burn. I also wanted to talk a little bit about how to fit pizza into your diet when you're out to eat and you don't necessarily have the choice of making it at home. One of the best tips I have is just to pay attention to portion sizes. Honestly, portions of everything, pizza included, in the US are huge. A serving of protein is supposed to be about the size of the palm of your hand. A serving of grains is about what you can hold in one scooped hand like this. So when you're ordering a pizza, you're likely getting 5 or 6 possible servings of carbs there and quite a few servings of cheese. A serving of cheese is a 1/4 cup, so it'll be about half of what you could hold in your palm here. They also say that it's about the equivalent of your thumb is a serving of cheese. Part of the way that you can fit pizza into your diet is just by paying attention to those portions. If you feel like you're not full after having a few slices of pizza, then I would recommend ordering some veggies on the sides, like a side salad or something else to fill you up that's a little bit lighter and lower in calories. The other tip I have for you is just to eat slowly. Try to cut with a fork and a knife. This will help you slow down instead of inhaling your pizza. I know it tastes really good and we really like eating it, so it's easy to eat it quickly. However, if you eat it with a fork and a knife, you're going to be forced to eat it more slowly and actually enjoy the pizza that you're having. When we get more enjoyment out of it, it also helps with the temptation to go back for more, and this will make it easier to stop at smaller portion size. So here's my final result. Here's my pizza that I pulled out of the toaster oven. I'm very excited to eat it. So the only thing I really have left to do is to ask you to hit the like and subscribe button if you like pizza and you learned something new today, and then I want to enjoy my pizza. Bye, YouTube.